The Champions League final is upon us. TYT Sports Let's Talk Tactics special. We are going to highlight both teams individually. The first one is Atleti, Diego Simeone's men, coming off the back of, I would say, a tougher end to the season in terms of finishing third, next to Barcelona at the top and Real Madrid. They will want to win the Champions League final, and especially for him to install himself as the season's most successful manager. That will be a fact if they win this tournament. Let's talk some tactics. So before we get into the discussion of Atletico Madrid, I want to give you guys the opportunity of a lifetime. It is Francis Claus here who's going to give you the opportunity to win your own set of Cristiano Ronaldo headphones. So there is some rules for this really quick. You have to go to my Instagram. I'll leave this on in the description, Francis Maxwell Host. Follow me on Instagram. Like the post where I will be holding up the Ronaldo headphones. Follow me on Twitter at Francis_Maxwell and at TYT Sports. Those are the requirements. And if you like that post, which will be on Instagram, you will automatically enter yourself in for the chance to win these Ronaldo headphones by Monster, rocked by Ronaldo headphones. So let's get to the action. So this is a lineup I imagine Atletico Madrid will go with for this big game. The standard 4-4-2, so hard to break down. A defensive spectacle are Atleti in that red and white. So the usual back four, Oblak, announced as a goalkeeper of the season in La Liga. Phenomenal season for him, the best defensive record in La Liga. Juanfran, Jimenez, Godin, and Luis at the back, and now this midfield four, which I will highlight, may change later in the game, as we have Gabi in there with Fernandes. The Argentinian works very hard in the middle of the park, but do not be surprised if he comes out for Carrasco at a certain point in this game to give Atleti a more attacking depth. And then we have Koke on the left, Saul Niguez on the right, who has been phenomenal. That solo goal against Bayern Munich epitomised the season that the youngster has already had, and he will make an impact in the Euros, believe me. Up top, Griezmann and Torres. Rejuvenated Fernando Torres. Great to see him performing well this season. But first of all, typical Let's Talk Tactics fashion, defensive. What do Atletico Madrid do so well to isolate their opponents into, I would say, uncomfortable areas and win the ball back to spur forward that counter-attack? Well, it's those banks of four that I talk about. So if you look here, what you're going to see in this game is the hard-working mentality that Fernando Torres and Griezmann do every single game. Watch Bayern Munich, because when they come up against a team that has three midfielders, is what Atletico like to do, that Diego Simeone talks about, is this triangular pressure, this triangular formation of pressure. So always Atletico like to try and put their opponents into compromising situations by stopping the pass into the channels, by putting pressure on the back and the front. They'll try and put the ball into the corner, and Atletico will hunt in packs as well, because they do it so well working together as a team, or they'll have to go back the way, and that is a win-win for Atletico Madrid. So what you will see in this example, say this is the way they line up, and this is a Toni Kroos or a Modric in this area. Casemiro playing in this holding midfielder role will allow for I would say Real Madrid to get the ball in here and knock it around. But what you'll see is Torres making this sort of run to get in front of Casemiro and prevent him from making that pass and try and win the ball. And then when Torres does that, that is a signal for Gabi to step up onto the midfielder and for either Koke or Niguez to cut inside. And there you have it, that triangular formation of pressure, which causes so much problems for opposition teams. Simeone does this on a drill-by-drill basis in training. He forces his team to put pressure onto people in an area, and that triangular form you see all over the park. You see it in this wide area. If the ball finds its way out wide to either Ronaldo or Marcelo, you'll see Saul Niguez tuck in to kind of provide that cover, and then you'll see maybe Jimenez come across, and there you have that triangle again, causing all sorts of problems for their opposition. It's simple defensive formation which is made to seem so effective by this Atletico Madrid team. And it is simple, but not every team can get away with doing it as efficiently as Atletico Madrid. That's why they're the best defensive team in La Liga. And what is always installed for Diego Simeone's team is that when you win the ball, every single player that's involved in that triangular formation of pressure has to be ready to spring forward a counter-attack. So if you see what happened against Bayern Munich, they didn't win the ball necessarily in this area, but you see Fernando Torres tucked back in to provide the pressure already, and when they sprung forward in that counter-attack, you've seen Griezmann make this run straight in behind. So imagine this was the Bayern Munich defence. Griezmann made this run, and straight away you had that triangular formation of pressure. You suddenly see that defensive efficiency turn into attacking, just aggression forward for Atletico Madrid, one of the best attacking, counter-attacking teams, should I say, in the world. So when they win that ball, you suddenly see them break free. Griezmann will automatically try and make this run in behind, as he did against Bayern Munich, and then Torres just slips it through. So it's all about putting that pressure on their opponents whilst being prepared at all times to spring forward that counter-attack. And it works so well. Diego Simeone really has done a fantastic job at making Atletico Madrid an enjoyable defensive team to watch. Many people don't enjoy it. They say it's the ugly football, to quote Arturo Vidal. But as Diego Simeone responded, you don't go in to play finals, you go in to win them. And that's absolutely what she will try and do here as we talk about Atletico Madrid's attacking prowess. So Atletico Madrid going forward, as much as they are great defensively, do not let that foreshadow how good they are at forming an attacking style, which is very hard to break down also going forward, and it's very hard to pick up because they're so versatile in their movement. So as you see, they have this bank of four, which does not stay as a bank of four, because when they go forward, Gabi and Fernandes just tuck back to provide that stability in case they lose the ball. And then Sal Niguez and Koke are so interchangeable. You'll see Sal making this run across as he does against Bayern Munich at times. You'll see Koke making the run in behind, and then he'll be partnered with Torres or Griezmann. They're so versatile. They're almost just four free-flowing players who are able to move in and out of their comfort zone to cause distractions. And what they will always do going forward, which is so key defensively as well, is you will often see them not throw forward too many players to leave themselves isolated. So Philippe Luis, out of both fullbacks, Luis and Juanfran, he's the more attacking. So when he goes forward, you better believe that there's no way Juanfran's up here. He tucks inside, and that gives them so much more stability at the back whilst allowing them to maybe push forward Gabi a little bit further forward to pick up the ball. So what I want to highlight is something they're going to try and do to cause a problem for Real Madrid. Real Madrid's problem defensively at the moment happens to be one of their most crucial players, and that's Sergio Ramos. Ramos at the moment has this rush of blood to the head at times and loves to step out to try and win the ball. Now, Casemiro is going to be in this area to try and prevent Ramos from doing that, because Griezmann likes to come deep and pick up the ball, and that allows for Torres to make this run, Sal Niguez to pick up the ball in this area. So rather than Griezmann just coming in here and Casemiro picking him up, what he's going to want to do is he's going to want to check into this area of the space just in between those two players. If he chips too deep, Casemiro will pick him up. But he wants to just cause that question in between Ramos and Casemiro so that Ramos might just follow him in there and step with him. And if the ball happens to go in there, then he might want to try and make that tackle and leave himself isolated. Because what that does is that allows Torres to make the deeper run, and it allows Koke to pick up the ball in this area and create some space, which will allow for the likes of Sal Niguez to pick it up deeper. The exact example happened against Real Madrid back in February. Now, granted, there was no Casemiro at this point, so therefore Casemiro was not playing, and it was actually after that game that he came into the team more prominently because they realised how much they needed a holding midfielder. Nonetheless, Ramos has still got that instinctive nature of trying to win the ball. So Griezmann's going to check deep. You will see him try to drag out Sergio Ramos into that area. And the same thing happened in that example, which will happen, Casemiro or not, is that Philippe Luis will come over, and just that movement of Ramos coming in there causes this gap in here. And that will mean that either Pepe will either have to cover in here, leaving the gap for Torres to make this run in through the middle, which actually happened with Luis cutting the ball to Griezmann, or he'll have to stay with his man, and that causes them to have this dysfunctional line at the back and will cause a problem for Real Madrid in terms of Atletico Madrid going forward. So plenty of tactics to discuss in there in terms of Atletico Madrid's attacking prowess and their defensive capabilities. And of course, I'm going to have to give my prediction. I'm going to give it on both clips, by the way, because we will do a Real Madrid specific example of their tactical formation going forward. So check that out. But for me, I think it is time for Atletico to right the wrong of the 2013-2014 Champions League final, and I think they'll win it 2-1. I think they'll get an early goal. I do think that Real Madrid will bounce back, but I think Atleti might just have too much for them in that counter-attacking style. So I'm going to go with the team that many have deemed favourites, because the simple point to end on is here. Atletico Madrid do not need to play unbelievably well to win this Champions League final, whereas I think Real Madrid do, because Atletico are able to play not to their top level, but to force their opponents to come down to their level. Now, many people don't agree with that. They don't think it's a nice, pretty style of football. But as Diego Simeone says, not always the prettiest style of football will win you games. It's whoever takes the trophy home that matters. Hit me in the comment section below and on Twitter, Francis_Maxwell. Don't forget to check that description about winning those Ronaldo headphones, because you might be the lucky one to take them home and win both a Champions League final if your team happens to go on and win it, and pick up a good set of headphones. Catch you guys soon.